Hey everybody, this is Stevie J with your TNA Slammiversary 2012 recap. As you may or may not hear in the background, there are thunderstorms in the Omaha area, which means the DirecTV satellite feed did at times go out on me, but for the most part I was able to cover this pay-per-view, and Peter H was able to tag in when I needed him to. So big shout out to the Hardcore CDN on Twitter, much appreciated for his assistance. The opening match of the pay-per-view was Austin Aries and Samoa Joe, which Hulk Hogan announced as being for the X Division title, despite the fact that it had been earlier stipulated there was a weight limit and Joe would not meet it. Although Joe did remind us on Impact that X Division used to be about no limits and not weight limits, so I guess the Hulkster agreed with him. Anyway, Joe didn't get the win here, but this was a really good match to open up the pay-per-view, which I thoroughly enjoyed. The finish was Joe setting Aries up on the top for a muscle buster. Aries got out of it and hit elbows to the face and went for a crucifix. Then he kicked Joe in the face, hit the discus forearm. He was really feeling it at this point and ready for the finish. He hit a kick to the face and a brainbuster DDT and got the 3 count. Great opening match. Joe looked really good in this one, and of course, I'm happy to see Aries retain. This led us to the second match, which I thought would be on the pre-show or the Barker channel, but it was not. It was on pay-per-view. Kid Cash versus Hernandez. This was Hernandez showing that for a big muscular man, he could fly around because he actually did a dive over the ropes all the way to the entrance ramp to wipe Cash out before the end of the match. Then he hit a border toss and landed a drop kick. Cash tried to recover and work him in the corner, but Hernandez threw him off, and then he hit a top rope splash. And believe me, when a guy the size of Hernandez hits a top rope splash, that's the end of the match. We moved on to Robbie E and Robbie T versus Devon and Garrett Bischoff, and I've dubbed Robbie E and Robbie T the Jersey Shore Boys. I'm not sure Jersey Shore would appreciate that, but hey, that's their gimmick. Robbie E is the Jersey Shore boy. He's like I don't know, the Pauly D or the Situation or whatever. And Rob Terry, aka Robbie T, is his bouncer. By the way, during this match, there was a sign in the crowd which clearly was from a fan of Wrestling Observer / Figure 4 Weekly, because it just said in bold big letters, "How's it going, everybody?" This was not much of a match. It didn't even last that long. All I can say is the really significant part of this was Madison Rayne came out to the ramp, and she looks like one of the real housewives of New Jersey now. She has her hair and makeup done up like a Jersey girl, but they didn't reveal who she was there for, Robbie E or Robbie T, so I guess you have to stay tuned to Impact Wrestling this Thursday to find that out. And the bottom line is Devon powerbombed Robbie E after Garrett pulled down the ropes to send Robbie T to the outside, and he got the 3 count off that. So Bischoff and Devon beat the Jersey Shore Boys. Next up was the number 1 contenders match, Mr. Anderson, Jeff Hardy, and Rob Van Dam. Anderson came out and did his opening shtick. We had a pretty good 3-way match here. It just came down in the end to Jeff and RVD in the ring. Anderson laid out on the outside. Jeff hit a twist of fate on Rob. Then he knocked Mr. Anderson down when he tried to come back in and goes to the top rope. He goes for the swanton, hits it, gets a 2 count. Anderson gets back in the ring, though, and he throws Hardy out. Then he hits the mic check on RVD and gets the pinfall. I gotta admit, I didn't see that coming. I thought for sure Jeff Hardy was going to win this because he would pop a rating on Impact Wrestling. But no, Anderson is your new number 1 contender for Thursday night. Then we had Crimson's Open Challenge, and the rumor all week long had been that Chris Masters was going to answer the Open Challenge since he had a dark match on Impact Wrestling Live this week. But that was not the case. The Cowboy, James Storm, came back. And I suppose the setup for that was that Crimson was mouthing off about how he'd been undefeated for 470 days and trying to piss off the crowd in Arlington. He said he'd fight a Ranger, a Maverick, or, quote, a damn cowboy if I have to. So James Storm was just the damn cowboy to respond to that. He had a super kick, pinned him, and the 470-day streak was over just like that. Austin Aries was backstage afterwards and told JB, "I want to be the man. I want to set the bar around here. I want to be the main event, and I'll do whatever I have to get there because I'm the greatest man who ever lived." Am I going to argue with Austin Aries on that point? No, I will not. After the backstage segment with Aries, we had TNA's number 2 moment on their top 10 countdown, which was the arrival of Hulk Hogan in October 2009. Then Dixie Carter made her way to the ring, and fans were holding up signs like hashtag Thank You Dixie and Dixie Does Dallas. I doubt she appreciated the latter one. She said, "Tonight is a surreal moment. It's the largest live TNA crowd ever in the US." And then she invited the whole locker room to come out to the entrance ramp to celebrate 10 years of TNA wrestling, and now it's time for them to announce who's going in the TNA Hall of Fame. And if you were thinking this was the moment Christian would come out, it wasn't. It was Sting who was the first inductee into the TNA Hall of Fame and got the big ovation as he came out after a video package putting him over, and the fans chanted, "Thank you, Sting." He told Dixie how much he appreciated this moment. Then we had Gail Kim versus Brooke Tessmacher. This was one of the places where my satellite feed went out. But according to Peter H., what happened was Kim was on her way to winning the match and was setting up to use Brooke's finisher to prove a point, but Brooke managed to cradle her into a small package and get the pinfall victory. So Brooke Tessmacher, the Texas native, is your new TNA Knockouts champion, and the crowd in Arlington was apparently pretty happy about that. This was followed by Bully Ray versus Joseph Park. I'm just going to get right to the point here. We all expected there to be some sort of resolution to the Chris Park, Joe Park Abyss thing, and what they did was not quite the finish of it. It could still continue from here, but it was pretty damn entertaining all the same. Basically, he got beat up for most of the match by Bully Ray, but then he hit a low blow, grabbed the kendo stick, hit Ray in the face. Ray kicked out at 2. Ray knocked him out of the ring with a forearm, and when he went out, just as I predicted, Park went under the ring, and wouldn't you know it, Abyss crawled out the other side. He got in the ring and chokeslammed Bully Ray through a table that he had set up himself. Then he crawled back under the ring and disappeared, and out came his brother Joe. He saw that his opponent Bully Ray was down and out through a table in the middle of the ring. He crawled over to make the cover, got the 3 count, and Mike Tenay screamed, "That's the damnedest thing I've ever seen." But hey, it works. That's pretty much what I expected. And after that, Hulk Hogan came out and made the announcement that Christian Cage was his special surprise for the night. So Christian's old TNA music hit. He came out, made a speech, and said, "Who would have thunk it, huh? Christian Cage right here in a TNA ring. There are a little less ropes and corners than the last time I was here, but even though the ring might have changed and the venue might have changed, even though who walks down that ramp and steps through these ropes has changed, the one thing that hasn't changed is you, the fans. So stand up and give yourself a round of applause. Even if you're sitting on your couch right now, give yourself a round of applause." And then he introduced the number 1 clip of all time in TNA wrestling, which was Sting's return in January of 2006. We didn't cut back to Christian after this, though. We went right to a video package for the tag title match, and this was another one of the places where, unfortunately, my video feed cut out a little on DirecTV. But what happened was that at the very end of the match, and I'm reading from Peter H's notes here, AJ hit a shooting star press onto Daniels from the top rope turnbuckle to the outside, but back in the ring, Angle had a hold of Kaz and reversed his finisher into an ankle lock, and Kazarian tapped out. So the new tag champions of TNA Wrestling are AJ Styles and Kurt Angle. The main event was Bobby Roode, the World Heavyweight Champion, versus Sting for the TNA World title, and Sting got the better of him for a great part of this match, so Bobby Roode ended up cheating to win at the end. When he got put into a scorpion deathlock on the announce table outside, he tapped out, but the referee Brian Hebner informed him that doesn't count if it's not in the ring, and Sting let go of it, and Bobby Roode fell off the announce table. He saw James Storm's beer from when James Storm returned earlier in the evening. There was a 6-pack right there next to the announce table. So Sting tried to throw him back in. Bobby Roode grabbed the 6-pack and it went in with him. Then he grabbed a bottle to use it on Sting. Hebner saw this and took it away from him, but the rest of the 6-pack was still there in the ring. So Roode cracked another one into Sting's forehead. And then when Hebner got back in, he didn't see the rest of the 6-pack. And Roode got the 3 count and retained his TNA World title. So that's your TNA Slammiversary 2012 recap. I'm Stevie J. Thanks for checking out the video.